Hello everyone, welcome to another session with me. This is Sayukta Saxena and this is the 10th session on morphing tangles. Today's session will be on botanical tangles. Botanical tangles, you don't have to make much of an effort to morph them or to blend them. They blend beautifully naturally. You don't have to make much effort to transition from one to the other. For example, flower tangles, leaves, petals, these need not be blended. They blend naturally. Yes. So let's draw one such tile today where we use the tangle flux and then probably move to tangles which are kind of related to the tangle flux. Yes. So I'm going to again work on an apprentice size tile. I have my border in place and I'm going to start right from one corner here and start with the tangle flux. Yes, flux is this beautiful balloon kind of shape. I think, yeah, this much is fine. So I'm going to build on it now. So flux is all about giving a beautiful shape. So that's what gives this tangle its look. So make sure you get the shape right. And then you always try and find some spaces where you can insert small little tiny tipple in between your flux, and that becomes an integral part of this tangle. Yes, so when I draw my flux, I somehow try and create some small enclosures where I can insert tiny tipples like these. Yes, so I have started with the tangle flux. So I'm continuing to add some more of flux, but now as I move further up, I'm going to add some extra auras to my flux. Yes, so it becomes a tangle called PAIS. So I start the way I start flux. However, I go on further to add some auras, some extra auras like these. Yes, in between tiny spaces, ink it or add some tiny orbs. The first one, you can show the transition. So I'm in the innermost section, I'm adding the same thing, flux, but from the next one probably I will omit adding the flux inside. You can add as many auras as you wish. So flux with auras becomes a tangle called PAIS. You can also call it a version of the tangle bunzo. It's entirely up to you. Yes, there can be overlaps, but the shape is a little different. The petals are long and they have these nice auras. In fact, they start something like flux and then you go on and add some auras. And we can go ahead and add something inside the auras to give it a more decked up look. Generally, the auras of this tangle do have something inside them. Yes. So let's see. Let's start with some simple orbs again to keep that connection. So the orbs, the small tipple have somehow moved inside the auras. So at least one of the aura I'm going to add these tipple only. Yes. Complete orbs or orbs which are squeezed in like pork, whichever way you like it. But I'm going to do that for all. Take your time. Yes. So I am done adding those small orbs. I'm adding a slight droplet shape inside instead of the dash and the dots, just the way we did for flux, but this is a little different since the tangle is different, so this will give a little, this will help us differentiate. Yes. So now let's move on to another tangle, which is from the leaves we move on to the flowers. Yes, so it's very simple to transition between these tangles. So I am moving to a tangle called INA-FLUX. So now we are moving towards flowers. Yes, now inside here you can either add dots or you can ink it completely. In fact, inking with dots with the jelly roll looks better. So I'm going to ink the inside space. Yes, and then you can add some more of flux or any petal like shape. For example, flex on a stem, something like this. So I'm again drawing flux. I'm kind of diminishing the size as I move higher up. Something like this. You can add any other botanical tangle. This is just a different arrangement of the same tangle. Yes, something like this. Yes, and then you can add some more flowers, probably one more here. Slowly take your time. This tangle is called INA-FLUX. Yes, so we have one more flower. I'm again going to ink the center. You can add thatching and thatching, yes, whatever you feel like. Again, I'm going to add one more stem, add some more flux on the stem, moving randomly, not planning much where, what. Yes. So you could have added any other flower. So it looks all blended together. Since they are all botanical tangles, they are very simple to blend. Yes, I'm going to probably you can add one more flower. Let's see if we want to do that. Probably here. Yes, a hidden one. Take your time. In the center, and we have one more flower here. Yes, small little spaces there. You can either add the same tangle or we can move on to small little poke roots, poke leaves. These all tangles gel very well. So probably you can add some bit of poke roots and poke leaves, or you can add Rix tea. They all look perfect together. Very tiny spaces there, just fill it in. I'm abiding by the border, not really overlooking the border, so staying within, but you can always overshoot it if you wish to. Yes, so let's now move to another tangle called lunar flux. So I'm adding these 3 droplet shapes together and then outlining it with a slight head, give it a little wonky feel. Yes, let's add the next one. 1 droplet shape, 2, you can add more, a small little head there, aura closely, and then blend. Yes, this tangle is called lunar flux. You can add as many as you wish. Let's see, let's add here. Big ones, small ones, whichever way you like it. Take your time. Draw the way you wish to. Drawing behind always a good idea as far as entangle is concerned. Try to do that with every tangle. Find opportunities to overlap, to draw behind, because it gives an additional shading opportunity and nice way to enhance the look of your tile. Yes, so adding some more, just the same way. So tiny spaces here and there, you can always add some simple single ones. It's not necessary you have to add 3 of those droplet shapes. You can always add simple single ones. Yes, some going out of the border. Yes, then a good idea is to add some weight on one side of these droplet shapes. Looks nice when you shade. So as I mentioned, botanical tangles are the easiest to blend and merge. They morph very easily. You don't really have to think much about how to progress from one to other because they are of the similar nature. So it's easy to blend them together. So always try introducing such tangles when you're morphing your tiles, trying to give that kind of an effect to your tile. So I just wanted to draw one such tile to give you an idea that you don't have to really think much, even if they are not of the same nature. Here I am playing around with flux, but even if they are not of the same nature, you can very easily, comfortably blend flowers and petals and leaves. So I'm adding some and thatching there. It's your choice if you want to. Yes, then you can always add some PRINTEMPS, or if you want you can add some Bronx chairs. So let's see. Some bit of drama there, some caviars or Bronx chairs can be very comfortably added. Very tiny spaces, just ink. Add some tipple. You can also place some PRINTEMPS here and there. I think they will look nice. They look nice anywhere. It's a nice filler and a background tangle. So some of them sitting here and there cozily, it's always a good idea. Yes, that's about it. You can also add some fescues, some mochas. They always go well. You don't have to think much where to place them. Again, tangles which gel comfortably with just about any botanical tile. Yes, so let's stop here. Let's first shade and then we shall see if we want to add something else. We can always do that. Some bit of blacks here and there, always a good idea. Find those spaces where you can add some extra ink, rounding. Tiny spaces, but some extra ink. So let's first shade and then we can see if we want to add something else. We can always do that. So I'm shading on one side of my flux, adding graphite on one side. You can always shade it on this line, the center line. There's so many ways to go about shading, so please shade the way you wish to at that point of time. A small touch on the orb. Blend. Bring it to about half of your flux, but don't blend too much. And then you can shade on both sides of your PAIS and leave a highlight in the center. Something like this. Yes. So the curl kind of pops up. Must leave this highlight. So again, going to blend, pull it, but leave a highlight so that the curls pop up. Yes. Moving on to the next. Take your time. Go to each. Yes. So that's our base. Moving on next to our inner flux. So where I have added enthaching, I'm going to highlight the same place, but you can always shade under these lines also. Yeah, so it's entirely your choice. How do you want to shade? I'm shading like this, but you can always, these flux strings can be shaded on one side and then you can highlight the other side. Take your time. Simple tile to draw, just to give you an idea how beautifully botanical tangles blend and how easily they blend. You don't have to make much of an effort. And that's what morphing is all about. Yes, to blend tangles seamlessly. I think by now you have got a broad idea about morphing. Probably I'll do 1 or 2 more sessions before we wrap up the series. Just adding some graphite. Add a very little because you don't want entire thing gray. Some bit of whites should also be visible. So probably using the tip of the pencil is a good idea. A touch on the PRINTEMPS. Slight touches on your LUNAR-FLUX. Very tiny ones. Probably what is already there on your stub is sufficient. Yes. So let's now little touch on our poke roots. So I'm going to add some tiny dots inside here with my jelly roll. Yes, and then you can use your chalk to highlight. So these things need not be, it's already used, you can highlight here. Flux need not be highlighted. If you want, you can add chalk, of course, but since the tile is already white, look for places where the highlight will actually show. So the other half of your LUNAR-FLUX, if you have not added graphite there, then it's a good idea to highlight that part. So spaces are small, so whatever little chalk you can add. Yes, so you may have to revisit some of the lines after adding chalk, so please do that. That's very much a part of the tangling process. Some touches on the PRINTEMPS, and that's it. I think we are sorted. We don't need to add anything else to this tile. Small caveat there, needs a tiny highlight. Yep. Yes, so that's our tile for today, and you can see how beautifully easily you can blend botanical tangles. Your choice of tangles can be very different, but in any case they blend very easily and beautifully. That's the whole idea of doing this session. Yes, so let's now close our tile. Must put in your chop, sitting cozily somewhere on your tile. Sign and date your tile. Yes, so I shall see you again with 1 or 2 more sessions on morphing tangles. Till then, have a good time. Bye bye.